Good morning. Thank you for being here. What a great conference. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. A lot of exciting things here. About this title today, Operational Growth and Efficiency, I've chosen this for one specific reason that I certainly believe in, and it's a business reason. Every business needs really fundamentally financially two things. One, to grow, and one, to have efficiency. And of course, today in digital is the way to do that, which the presentation will share with you. But it's about top line, getting more sales, getting more revenue. That's the growth part. And the efficiency is about savings, is about margin, is about the bottom line. So I always look at this as growing top line and bottom line growth. And then of course, a lot of that is dealing with some things need to be done internally to your business and other things externally. So that's the rationale behind this title, and I hope that what I'm about to share with you will give you really some how-tos on how to deal with that. But a little bit about myself. My journey, I've had a blessed career, 32 years with the Procter & Gamble company. I've learned a lot on the CPG side. That's my DNA and where I come from. I've been with the top leaders of Procter & Gamble, and then upon retirement, I also chose to continue to stay in this industry because what an exciting time. Everything is changing, and it's really creating great new things, excitement and creativity. So I spent a portion of my time, and I founded a brand consultancy, and that's what I've been doing for the last 9 years. So, starting to build the case. We live, obviously, in a very changing world. I'm not going to belabor this point much, but it's about really the changes that are occurring in habits and practices. And we all know that that's number one. There's really two factors that have driven the change in consumer behavior. It's the internet on the go, okay, and social media. That has put the power of a voice in each one of us, where before that used to reside in brands. Now it resides with consumers. And whether you're a baby boomer or a millennial or all the way down to really truly a digital native in Gen Z, everyone is interacting on some level, at least, with social media or with internet on the go. Some of you may be dealing with grandparents. They turn to you, but they're at least active on devices. And or maybe parents that are dealing with it, but everyone is dealing with it at some level. So with that, it has given the power, and the power has come from technology has transformed the consumer behavior, and the consumers have transformed the brands. Well, where it goes off this chart, it goes to many of you next. The brands are requesting and demanding different things from you, the printer. So this is the cycle, and the head of the dragon in this case is the consumer. At Procter & Gamble, we always said the consumer is boss. If you focus on the end point, you will know what's about to be expected from any of you, any of your customers, the brands. So with that, how those changes are impacting our industry, bringing it right down to printing, commercial, and packaging, is that big data is able to target people one-on-one. We know where they live, who they are, for the most part. Mass production, it's no longer about vanilla and chocolate. It's the 31 flavors of Baskin and Robbins and beyond. Everyone wants things for themselves now. And of course, what has complicated the world of marketing in packaging as well as commercial is the omni-shopper channel. You don't have just retail anymore. You have online shopping. You have ads that come in on social media, one-on-one posts. So the buying spree can occur through many different channels. And there's no really written MBA class on how to deal with the new rules of marketing. So here, there's going to be reason for you to rise up above commodity status and become a partner with your clients to help figure that out. But speed to market, Everyone I speak to, whether it's my clients, the brands, whether it's printers, everyone is talking about speed. And you know, Amazon has caused us to believe in the 48-hour turnaround. That's what our expectation is. But right now, 48 hours is even not good enough anymore. We're expecting it almost instantaneously. So anything that you can do for speed will be beneficial because that's what clients are looking for. So, change. Change equals opportunity. But change can often overwhelm you and really stop you in your tracks. What I ask of you today in the rest of my presentation is to actually keep an open mind. Make a commitment to yourself. You're not going to let it overwhelm you. You're going to look for opportunity and let the opportunity drive you. Look for those points of change because that's where you might find answers for growth. You can get a larger portion of the digital spend if any of you. How many of you have some digital assets already in your shops? So many of you. Okay. You can get a larger portion of that spend from your clients. You can attract new clients, new customers, increase your margins, but it's going to require habitual change of investing in capability in order to do that. One of the key factors of change, and I tell you this is probably one of the most important, most revealing factors, and I'm going to stick with US data, is the fact that the US e-commerce has been growing at double digits for the last 10 years. And just closing in 2018, we see its e-commerce is at $517 billion of spend. Now, of the total spend of including retail, that accounts for 10%. So e-commerce in 2018 has now reached 10% of total shopping spend. But now let's look one step further. All the way to the right, you see 65-year-olds and plus. 11% of that population group is using e-commerce once a week or more. But when you go to the left of that chart and you look at the younger generations, it's 37% for millennials. You know, I believe the Gen Zers all the way to the left here, they're still in college, they don't have any money, so I think that that's going to grow a lot higher than millennials. But let's call it 37% for now. That then implies that as we move through the generation of time and millennials and Gen Z become more entrenched in spending, that e-commerce is going to grow at least fourfold from where it is today. So I can infer from this chart that we will be at about a 40% of e-commerce versus all retail.
So do you have a similar chart showing the dollars spent by these groups?
I don't. That would be an excellent thing to have. In fact, I will note that I'm going to research that. I don't have that. And I'm sure that at the moment the dollar spent probably is disproportionate, is probably greater to the right, but it does tell you that the habit and the practice of the younger generation is to go towards e-commerce. And so e-commerce therefore becomes a change that is continuing. We're just still at the beginning. If it's going to grow fourfold, we're still only 25% of the way there. So the forces that are colliding, things that are happening at the same time are the following, is that we're in the me generation. Consumers want things for themselves that are signifying their name. The whole name thing, the personalization thing, it has played all over the world. Every place I followed a program, it has been in the developed countries, very successful, and also in emerging markets. It doesn't matter. It crosses the boundaries of rich or poor countries. So this is real. The second one is, as I mentioned, the Omni Shopper channel. We really have to understand how to deal in all the channels. Packaging or commercial material may not be the same in the e-commerce channel the way it is in retail. So we're going to have to be conscious of that. And then there's increased competition. You're seeing startups opening up all the time. Entrepreneurialism has really taken root in the US and around the world, and it's easier to do now because you can open a business online. And that is typically the first place a business will go, is to open up online. And lastly, there's certainly supply chain pressures. Nobody wants the inventory management that occurred all the way up to the recession. If any of you really recall or dealt with that, your suppliers were not buying for about a year because they had enough on their shelves in their warehouse. And ever since the recession, they have made it a point they don't want to store all that inventory and therefore tie up that cost. So all of these factors are issues, and these become challenges for you. And if you can solve these challenges, they become opportunities. So let me talk about now how digital has become a solution to some of these problems. And these are the opportunities that I just talked about. Now let me talk about some potential solutions. Digital print has certainly, as it's been around and has been the most mature of the digital technologies, has served the entire world for really interesting programs. In this case, this was Oreos for folding cartons in China, personalized, that you buy online. When they were in the US, they were in flexible packaging. I purchased several of those as gifts. They were $20 for a standard box of Oreos, which you could buy in the store for about $4. I paid $20, but it was a gift. Okay, so digital printing, you all know the story there. That has created excitement, interest, and also been able to reduce inventory. But now there is digital decoration. Digital decoration in the way of cutting, embellishments. Here are some examples of cards, and I have a few other case studies that I will share with you. But now the ability to do that and not come out of a digital workflow so that you're not digitally printing and then going back into an analog world is extremely helpful. Lastly, there's digital finishing then, not just decoration, but the ability to take the blank out of the entire sheet, if it's a folding carton or if it's a commercial piece of paper, and exquisite things have been able to be done as a result of that. So where we are right now is the point that digital finishing truly is disruptive because it wasn't around before. Flat dies or rotary dies is what had been possible up until now. Now it's possible to do intricate cuts, but even more to me personally, I'm fascinated with perforations and with etching. And let's see, on your seat or there are samples. Take a sheet like this, which is a sample, tear one out, each of you please, and you will see the reliability and the easy opening feature.
The first 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. The first, I was corrected. The first 5, because on the bottom is conventional. So you can compare the laser perforated to, on the bottom, the conventional. But the ability to have a repeated experience for consumers and to really fine-tune that opening feature gives another leverage point. And etching is really interesting. On the lower right-hand corner of the slide there, you can see that you don't have to cut all the way through. You can make partial cuts. And partial cuts, I'll talk and give an example, can also lead to not putting something through the printing press, but doing everything with one operation. So this equipment now is no longer at the prototyping stage where it's slow. You can actually achieve a 5,000 sheet per hour rate. So it's production speeds. So that's why this is disruptive. So what all this really means to you and to the industry is that we're at a whole new inflection point of having an agile ecosystem. Because with business management, pre-press management, which is all digital and run through software, we know we have digital printing. We have the ability to inspect digitally, 100%. digital decoration, and digital finishing. So we are at the point in time in our industry where you can master plan a whole digital workflow. This should be the end goal of total. That doesn't mean that I'm advocating get rid of analog assets. You can play with both analog assets and digital assets. In fact, in many cases, as I've observed, folks that have gone into digital decoration and finishing are actually taking sheets from their analog side and processing them digitally. Because the biggest bottleneck is the digital decoration and digital finishing. So that could be a good place to start. If you have no digital assets, take the weakest link in your workflow and solve that first. Because clearly, digital printing, what you will do with that is you will make more shorter runs. Well, if you don't have a way to relieve the stress that comes from the shorter runs in your next operation, you're going to have a problem there. So I believe take the last bottleneck out first and work your way up the stream. So it's almost starting from right to left on this workflow if you're not in digital. But if you are in printing, here's a way to complete your circuit. Now, let me go into case studies. How many of you still send cards, physical cards? Okay, I see a great majority. I can buy cards at Dollar Tree, 2 for $1, plain ink, or I can buy a slightly higher level grade of card at CVS or any of the pharmaceutical stores for $2. Any of you doing that? Well, because there is the other, and that is the higher value cards. Cards such as this. Cards with cutouts, cards that give you a 3D effect. Cards that really, when you're opening it, when you're giving it, the receiver is going to say, wow, somebody really cares. This is a beautiful card. But what are they going for? They're going for $6.99. How many people are now spending $6.99 for cards? I am, because that's a critical moment. And if I'm going to give a card, then it makes sense to treat that loved one with the respect of that moment and make that a higher level moment. But it doesn't stop there. Take a look at this. You can get a card that really goes into 3D and truly has moments with 5 layers, but that goes for $8.99. And that's what people are gravitating to. They're not buying the 2 for $1 because that just doesn't mean as much. I had a student panel yesterday, and this question came up to Gen Zers. What are they using? Everyone, and I really question them of, are you sending virtual digital thank yous and greetings, or are you sending physical cards? And they said one of two things. They're sending physical cards, and they're either making them themselves like they were as a child to their parents, which their parents always love, a handwritten card, or they're buying cards, or they're personalizing cards. Many of them were telling me that they're actually buying very personalized cards through e-commerce to even elevate the experience even more. So commercial printing still has a place, but it has to be elevated to the point of really communicating that special moment. And we're all elevating what our expectations are of special moments. Next example. This comes from my alumni company, Procter & Gamble. They have big data. They know the majority, not all, of where the 18-year-old males are. And what you get if you're 18 and you're on their list, you will get a folding carton such as this saying happy birthday, and here's a razor for a young man, kind of signifying a passage to manhood. Is that great? Does everybody think that that's a wow? It's lacking something. And I have to be critical here that the critical moment is, I already know your name, I already know where you live, I'm sending you this box, why not put the person's name on it, Aiden? You're turning 18 in a few months. It's not a car, but it's slick and fast. and maybe a QR code there to also turn to a video of something cute or funny and using it for shaving. So, how many of you have received from your rewards clubs, "Dear valued customer"? I hate that term. I mean, that is not, you don't know me if that's what you're saying, and that's what the package on the left is saying. It's very generic. So you've got to be more intimate. Take it all the way to that, for that special moment. And technology is here to be able to do that. The need for speed. Honestly, I trust all of you have heard it, so I won't belabor this point. The ability to solve your clients' problems of getting to shorter and shorter times. Those folks that come to you and say, "I'm in trouble, I've got a problem, it's Monday, I need it by Wednesday." This is a standard, this is happening. And you should know that when they're coming and saying that to you, something either has gone wrong and they're in trouble, or they have a business opportunity that they really want to capture and they've got to get to their consumer very quickly. But that's also a point in time to create value. And if you can deliver that speed, then you win that contract. And not only do you win that contract, but you win in the heart of that person is, oh, you as a supplier are now a partner. You can meet my needs, and you can meet my needs at a short timing. It's a very intimate point that you've taken care of not just an order, but a problem. And so with this example, this goes back to the World Series between the Cubs and the Cleveland Indians a few years ago. You'll remember that went down to two teams that had losing streaks. The whole world was watching that. It went down to the last game. Titleist wanted to have a commemorative golf package on whoever won. And so it wasn't until that last game. The product was printed digitally, it was finished digitally, and it was out the cartons were out the next day to have golf balls dropped in. And that was the speed and to capture that business opportunity. A chocolate box, and rethinking how to do this very simply for the moment. You can have the everyday chocolate box, but for events, you can have add-ons. Add-ons that are possible and that are constantly changing throughout the calendar year on a regular drumbeat, whether it's a personal occasion, whether it's a holiday, marking a graduation, Mother's Day. You can see that there are various themes that could be done. And that could be done offline, added on to a standard package. So you can take old inventory and now make it relevant for that moment in time. That's what's exciting. And that basically can be done with digital technologies. Reinvent everyday product. I love this story personally. There's nothing better to prove a case but to take something that is a commodity product. Now, pocket folders. This is where you store a few pieces of paper to give over to your clients. This is real commodity. Here's a company, Pocket Folders Fast. They're online. Take a look at that website. You really should take that away from this today. Take a look at what they've done. They've taken a rather commodity product and being able to really add value to that commodity, lift that up to something of greater value, of truly personalizing it online for that event very quickly and getting it out to you within 48 hours. And they've grown this business from nothing, from, again, taking commodities. So that's what you can do. Imagine if you already start with a product that is higher value. It's a lot easier to take that up than to start with something that's commodity. So, operational growth and efficiency. I want to get to the really how-to. It's about rethinking. It starts with how many of you have looked at your business strategy? Do you have a strategy? Is that strategy looking out for the next 3 years? Okay, I can't predict 5 or 10 years out, but you should be able to plan for at least a 3-year period of time. I start there. And really, it's about, do you have in mind some of the opportunities that I just talked about? Do you have in your business strategy a way to approach improving your speed so that you're not reacting to it, so it's part of your workflow? Are you able to handle short runs? That should be part of it, because we know that these short runs are getting shorter and shorter. Do you have digital assets in your inventory? Are you capable of customizing and personalizing? Are you present on e-commerce? Now, this is a long list. You don't have to do all of them. They don't all have to be part of your business strategy. But if you don't have a few of these real opportunity areas, then you really should be asking yourself, do I have the right business strategy? So that's part of what I give to you today on how to. Now, how many of you are commercial printers here? Great, because the last point I have here is your opportunity is to also pivot into your very same customers that you have. Your clients are probably also needing packaging. Packaging is a great way to expand into. By the way, the most digital culture that I have seen of all is really in the commercial space. You folks understand digital the most. So it would be easy for you to add value in packaging, to convert into that. And I'm happy to talk to you about that offline. I'll give you my contact information. But I think that's an opportunity. And within packaging, there are several realms that I believe in, that I've studied, that today won't leave time for. So my message to you is innovate. Don't worry about your competition. Innovate instead of competing. Run your own game. Study. That's why I started the whole presentation with, if you know the consumer, solve their problems. If you solve their problems, competition won't matter. You are one-to-one with the endpoint in mind. And the endpoint is really who is using it, what do they need in today's environment. Create value. Everything you should do, it's not about gimmicks. Gimmicks don't work. It's truly about offering something new, something that will really your clients need. You can increase your revenue by having new capability and offering new ideas. And luxury is really what's connecting people these days. I mean, look at our own lives. We do not accept our own standards as we've lived have gone higher and higher. And so luxury really is resonating with folks. It's not just about beauty care or hair care or any of the care products that is where luxury is needed. It's in all products. So if you are relevant and operating in the moment and being able to use the calendar with events that are happening, people want to be in the moment. And that's what you need the capability to do. I put this particular photo on here because I really want to share a story about this. This happens to be Moet Cadenne champagne. And it's in the everyday folding carton box. A simple sleeve in this case that is not printed. I apologize because this photo is not clear enough, and I'll get a better one for my next talk. But on the right-hand side of that, it says Happy Valentine's Day, and even through the crease are bubbles with 2 champagne glasses. It was never printed. The white, because it's a 2-layer carton, the white actually shows through very nicely, and it looks like it was printed. Every time I ask people, look at the printing, they don't know it was actually etched. But the story really is, here's a sleeve put over a standard product, maybe an aging product, and suddenly you've made it relevant with a very inexpensive fix. After the holiday, after Valentine's Day, you see carts and all kinds of things of product being sold at half price because nobody wants Valentine's Day anymore. It's old and stale. It's that short period of time. This would be an easy way to get rid of that by just taking the sleeve back, and you go back to the everyday. Sleeves, my friends here, will help with many products, not just champagne. So, creating value, and internally, it's about making your workflow more productive. I know that each of you right now may have the everyday product, but you've got to deal with that. That's making money right now. But is your workflow able to keep up with that? Because chances are the one thing that's changed is those runs are getting shorter. So how do you, with those shorter runs, continue to make money, reduce scrap, reduce warehousing, improve your efficiency, improve your profit margins? The answer to that is going to be you're going to need the digital assets. And for those of you cutting paper, for those of you cutting folding cartons, digital die cutting and the Hicon certainly can help. So, in closing, I want to leave you with 3 takeaways. These are the 3 things you should, if you've heard nothing else, that I think could be important to you. Revisit that strategy. Does it carry you for the next 3 to 5 years? Does it truly have the components that I talked about, some of the components that are relevant in our time, that are going to be for the next 3 to 5? Second, do you have a budget? Are you thinking about investing in capability? Because I talk about capability, it's not about machines. In the end, you're not going to sell digital. You're selling solutions. Digital is just a way to give your clients value and offer them more capability. But it's going to take investment. That's where we are. And lastly, choose a challenge. One of the opportunities, whether it's internal growth, I always like to advise people, my clients, test a little and learn a lot. You don't have to change your whole plant. You can get samples. Start with getting your own samples. Will it take your work to a new level? And if that makes sense, you can take the next step of purchasing machines, of expanding, buying multiple machines, etc. So get samples. It's the easiest way and the first step of your journey. Don't be stuck or overwhelmed. Also, talk to your clients about that, because they are sometimes overwhelmed. You will be able to help them do small market tests. They would love to be able to do small market tests versus a national program, because there's less risk in that, and these are risky times. You don't know what necessarily is going to resonate. So they could start with a store or a city or a state or a region, and you'd be able to help them. So lastly, it's my hope, I came here today for really one reason: to educate you, to inspire you, to guide you. And I hope that the Wall Street Journal next year, as a result of this conference, saying that D-Scoop attendees at Hicon presentation transform their business and help them grow. That would be a reward for me. So I say thank you. Now, we have, let's see, I don't know. So what we have is the Einstein. Did everyone sign up here for the Einstein gift? Okay, we've got a winner, and this is a die-cut notepad. There were 440 sheets, and when you use a sheet and take it off, it starts to reveal the bust, in this case, of Einstein. Has everyone seen the Einstein bust? Okay, that was made out of corrugate. This is now the mini for a notepad. You can't do this with any other technology except digital. So I just wanted to give you that background, because each sheet of the 440 sheets in this notepad is variably cut, and that's how it builds and makes a bust in this case. So the lucky winner that I have is Walt Baker of Alpha Graphics. Are you here?
Right here.
Walt, please come on up. Walt, I hope the wisdom of Einstein will treat you well. I'd like to get a photo, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, you can
I never
hold
win
on.
anything, so.
All right, there you go.
Good, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.